we all need to come together as Urhobos to emancipate ourselves from the struggles that we have all gone through over many decades. And this platform affords us an opportunity to have the right conversations and interactions to liberate our nation from the dungeons of poverty, of stagnation, and retrogression, and for us to be able to move to the Eldorado and the zenith of our vision of one prosperous nation, a people united for greater development and progress of the Urhobo people and nation. So with this, I want to welcome you all. And once again, we welcome to all of you joining us from all over the world. You're welcome to the global webinar on the Urhobo Nation Development Master Plan 2025 to 2050. Today, we are very blessed to have some of our notable leaders and special guests joining us. We have our speakers and panelists this morning in the order of listing, as you can see right in your screen. Distinguished Senator Ede Dafinone, FCA, our senator representing Delta Central. He's an economist, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Accountants, an industrialist, an advocate for SME growth and public governance, and also an advocate for the growth and development of the Urhobo Nation. Senator Ede, I would like you to unmute your mic and come on video and greet Urhobo and welcome our guests here this morning.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you. We also have Dr. Irene Akpofure. Dr. Irene Akpofure is one of our global experts to the world, a very fine Urhobo professional, and one who continues to drive the Urhobo agenda all over the world. Very passionate, a consultant focused on ESG and sustainability, also a human resource professional and an expert in global talent development, an environmental economist, as well as a development finance expert. Dr. Irene Akpofure, please unmute your mic and come on video and greet Urhobos.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Welcome, Big Bo. I welcome all you from, I think we have Canada, UK, and Nigeria here. Everyone, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah. We also have our very distinguished professor, who is one of our eggheads in the academic world, a great and very passionate Urhobo patriot, Professor Sonia Wefeda, Professor of English and Cultural Advocate. Is a literary scholar and as well as a historian. And we are proud to have him join us this morning. And I'm going to ask him to unmute his mic as well as to come on video and greet Urhobo.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Miyenio.
Hey.
Wado.
Thank you. But I'd like to also introduce some of our leaders who are here. We'd like to introduce our Board of Trustees, our father, and the chairman of the Board of Trustees and the convener of Urhobo Foundation, Architect Dr. Charles Majoro, to greet Urhobo, as well as to set the tone for this meeting this morning. So I'm going to call on Architect Dr. Charles Majoro to greet Urhobo and set the tone for our discussion this morning on the Urhobo Master Plan 2025 to 2050.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey. Yeah. Reverend Francis Wyve, who gave us the opening prayer.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
I want to wish us a very successful outing. I want to congratulate those who put this together and pray that it works out for the benefit of our people. Thank you very much.
We have the president of the UPU, Mr. Fidelis, Olorogun Fidelis Odia, who is the president of the UPU, Ikeja. Olorogun Fidelis, can you greet Urhobo?
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Miyenio.
Hey.
Why we na view to na Ekpebeni Novadia, Erwini Novadia,
Yes, sir.
and Maneroni. This session will be a very successful one that we're beginning to take Urhobo to the level that we want. And I pray that it becomes a successful outcome. Thank you.
We have Mr. Sam Igbenioko, very passionate Urhobo man in the UPU UK.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Our Honorable Senator, welcome. Awani Kwe UK, I go no Awamu I go no Awamu organize Yonana. Dr. Benson, Weru, and your team, and all of the speakers here today. The Urhobo Nation is a very passionate subject for all of us, and we hope that at the end of today, we should have some outlines to move forward with. Thank you all for organizing this, and thanks everyone for coming. Thank you very much.
From Canada, we have our brother, Wede Obaho, who incidentally is also a member of the foundation. So I'd like him to also unmute his mic and send greetings from Canada, showing the diversity of the participation in this meeting. So,
Urhobowado.
hey.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Greetings from Canada. The Bible says, unless the Lord builds a house, the builder has built in vain. We have started building, and we believe that the Lord is with us.
Yeah. One of the foremost Urhobo bodies globally today is the Urhobo World United Union, and it's been led by our brother, founder, Akbesiri, who is one of our rising stars, and of course, is one that we are all proud of. So I'm going to ask him to greet Urhobo and greet our youths all over the world and share felicitations from
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Mingo. Thank you, Mr. Benson. I'm really proud of what is going on, and I'm happy to be here on behalf of Urhobo World United Union. We are part of, well, like every other person, we are not different from UPU or any organization. All our purpose is to unite Urhobo worldwide through a different approach. And most of my members are in this call right now, and we are all inclined to what you are doing, and any other support will be here till the program ends. Thank you.
We are very blessed to have architect Dr. Charles Majoro to be part of us, who is the chairman of the board of trustees of the Urhobo Foundation.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
This webinar is a brainchild of Urhobo Foundation, which started a few years ago, maybe a few decades ago. The first outing was in 1998, when the first Urhobo Economic Summit was held at BTI. And the next one was in 2017 at Rising Blue on the same topic. So then it was decided that we need to have a massive master plan, development plan for the Urhobo nation. And we need to take it as a major issue that could help Urhobo move forward. This master plan is going to be like a ground norm if you're talking legal issues, and for which every ethnic, every facet of Urhobo could plug in and run with it. Right now, we have a major issue in Urhobo land, which we can call a rural-urban dichotomy. And whereas the urban area is siphoning strength and energy from the rural areas, nothing is being brought back. And on a wider scale, which is even more dangerous, we've also discovered that Urhobos are the most diaspora, if I can use that word, ethnic group in Nigeria. That is, we spread everywhere, and we're going to spread everywhere. Whereas earlier on, we used to go out in diaspora, Jegunle, Kale, UK, everywhere. The goal then was when you finished at of age, you will now come back and use whatever you learned to fertilize and benefit the homeland. But nowadays, that return element, that gain that we have from sending our people out is diminishing. In fact, it's almost zero. It's a net loss to the Urhobo land about what we're doing. And it's basically and critically because of a lack of a development plan of the area. And so people, it's even worse now. I don't want to go into the issue of kidnapping and lack of development that has taken place in the last couple of years. So this plan will focus on issues that will bring us back, that will develop Urhobo, that will make us different, and a place that will attract even other ethnic groups in Delta State and in our region, the areas of agriculture, education, power, energy, entertainment. Of course, we already have that, green industries, and the preservation of our language. Because without a language, whatever we are is it's an exercise in futility. I mean, ordinarily, if we're going to be a nation, this seminar or webinar will have been in Urhobo, but that is what it is. That we'll get to that later on. Those are ephemeral issues we'll deal with later on. So we must see this plan as only an existential effort. That is where people whose existence as a people recognition or even physical development is in danger. And if we take that as a major theme, then we'll put our minds to it. And I'm confident that all of us who are here today have other things that we would love to do. And I only come here because we think that our existence is important, and the success of issues and efforts like this will do a lot to improve on the existence of these great people, these beautiful people, these people whose language is the best ever, these people who, despite all the problems on earth, we still have the greatest sense of humor. There's nothing like that, you know. So, and that's something that nobody can take from us. The essence of comedy in Nigeria is in us. Meanwhile, the essence of poverty and suffering is in us. You know, as we roba, as we di, you know, kakwefa, within water, what are them organ, we are just the people who can laugh and at our problems. But we are also one of the most intelligent people on earth. We are the most brilliant on earth. And we are the most gifted by God. We have the best land in the world. We have the best rivers. All our rivers are flowing everywhere. There's no Urhobo settlement that is not watered and petted by rivers. We have the best weather, best lands. Yet we run away from it because we don't have a plan to develop it. We don't have the issues that made our fathers to go out and come back are almost going, and poverty has taken over the land. Therefore, this plan, you know, had ended up with about 5 basic platforms. That's what we call based on the survival society development plan of the United Nations, and we ended up with 5 facets. Another 5, we have 14 areas. I don't want to go into the details of research. I won't take the meat from those who are going to give the actual technical talks. So we arrived in 5 basic areas. In these 5 areas, there are 14 sub-areas. And the likes of Nero, Wujaba will go into the nitty-gritty of that to make your mind so I can enjoy his speech and everything he's saying, and you know, there'll be something novelty, and you know, something that you've heard from Marjorie before. Therefore, we're hoping that at the end of this, with the likes of the speakers that we have, the likes of the brains that we have that are going to be the panelists, we're going to have a great day. But not just a great day. We want to set up so we have some kind of faculties. So we shall harvest from here some great people who will be interested to continue this effort beyond the ceremony of today. And it's faculties will spread around, people will engage themselves in areas of their interest, and we'll continue to develop this plan to fruition. We don't have to depend on government. Yes, we need governance, but we have ourselves. Okay, for a government figure, we had an independent people. So we must go back to that basic tone setting, that basic strength of the Urhobo, that basic confidence and pride that we had that we can do it ourselves. And you cannot take an Urhobo's land. You can't take without problem. Other Benon, or she jigger in a and what would if you ensure that he will go to court with you if you think that you're oppressing him. That spirit is still there. So the whole essence of this movement is to make sure we bring back that old spirit. Yes, we need governance, but yes, we need ourselves more. We have lost the future. In fact, I dare say we've probably lost the present. but certainly we cannot. We have lost the past. I'm sorry. I'm sure we've lost the present. The essence, we should not lose the future. And that is why I encourage all of us to listen attentively, look at the issues that have to be raised, and enjoy the talks, but ensure that you zero in on an area where you think you can specialize or you can participate going forward. So that the Urhobo plan for the next 25 years, 25 to 50 years, will be a thing that we can all be proud of, that we can say to our children and grandchildren, yes, I was there. It's not always doing back to tell us, hey, Mukomo and others give Urhobo College, this and that. Cover Wolulu. We keep talking, history, emotionally. We did this, we did that. What has this generation done? What are we going to leave back for our children? Are we just going to send 2 people again to London to go and graduate and come and sit at Urhobo College? Is that how we're going to do now? Or are we going to run away? Or are we going to continue to be this Ose tradition or fight kidnapping and all our women are going into all sorts of things that we don't want to agree with? This is your opportunity to participate. This is our opportunity to start something. This is our opportunity to do something that's new, that will be enduring, that will be a tone setting, something that we can be proud of and say, yes, at the every meeting, we issue the mayor,
Yeah, thank you very much, OCM. That was very good and highly appreciated. We have lost the past. We have almost lost the present, but we should not lose the future. And I think that is a very good landing, and it's a place for us to reflect. I think while he was talking, a few leaders joined. Peter Igo is the president of the Urhobo Leadership Forum in Abuja.
Urhobo,
Hey.
Let me congratulate all of you for this great initiative. I'm particularly happy that we have not given up, that we have not thrown in the towel to say, as my body brother has just said, that because we've lost the past or losing the present, that we should not worry about the future. So I'm glad that we all feel concerned enough to come and join in this discussion. The Urhobo Forum has been among one of the strong Urhobo groups that has thought for a long time now about what should be done about the development in Urhobo land. And that is why we've given plenty of time to setting up committees to come up with a developmental plan, one of which we did and submitted to UPU at the 90th anniversary of the celebration of UPU. So we have a document already prepared, and thank God the chairman of that group who put all those things together is on the platform today, Professor Dejumao. And I bow to his knowledge and experience in that regard. And would therefore ask that we listen to what he has to say. He has a lot to say. He has put together a lot of ideas and things that will help the Urhobo move forward, as we'd all love for our children to imbibe and be proud of. So Wado, just to say that you have the full support of Urhobo Leadership Forum in Abuja in everything that is discussed in ways forward. And like Akita Majuro said, let's think practical things, doable things, realizable objectives that we can put on ground and follow up on, not just theories that will talk and disappear and go back to the usual or go and start. So I want to commend all of you for this worthy endeavor, and you have my support and the support of Urhobo Leadership Forum for whatever comes out of this endeavor. Thank you very much. Wado.
Thank you very much, Uncle P. Migo Buna. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we go right into the next item on the agenda, which is the master plan presentation. And to do that presentation, we have one of our finest, and I call him one of the most handsome men in Urhobo land. He's very passionate and committed Urhobo, and one who has been involved in this whole plan from the beginning. And we are very happy that we have him with us, and he was part of the team that developed the plan. and he will be sharing what I'll call some very important aspects of the master plan. And following that, we'll have the panelist discussion. He's Olorogo Dr. Nero Ujabo, who is one member of our foundation and also leads Urhobo in the United Kingdom, and is joining us from the United Kingdom. And he will be taking us through the next series of presentation.
Thank you very much, Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Ado.
Hey.
Urhobo Egbare, Misia Gwalion. Very happy to join this very special event. Kilobol Olorogutale Urhobo Waje Akadetine Riduo Dochana. So I will present in English and add Urhobo wherever I can. Owotavane whatever no when warari asawara asofa ewoke shetio. So if you leave your house and you don't know where you're going, you're bound to end up somewhere else. Another quote Mijike used, and progress is possible, but it is not inevitable. So it's incredibly important that you make plans, you plan. And no nation can make good progress without actually planning, reflecting on the future, and hoping and driving change based on the things that you have planned. So the Urhobo Dream is what we have titled this presentation and this plan, the Urhobo Nation Regional Development Plan 2025 to 2050. Just at the outset, I think it's important to set out that Urhobo Foundation is a think tank, but as a think tank, we were mandated to produce this development plan on behalf of the entire Urhobo community. And so this happened at a conference in 2017, on 27th of July 2017, at the Radisson Blu in Victoria Island, Lagos, where this conversation took place and that mandate was given. So the work has been underway since that time to put a credible plan together. So what I'm going to run through is quite dense. And so in some shape or form, I will be moving through this as quickly as possible to get us to the end of it so that we can then have the further conversations. But it is quite dense. But of course, with Urhobo community as big as it is, you can't expect anything less. The full report is available online. It's available for you to look into and to build your understanding of it. Of course, we're also here to answer questions answer questions today, but on an ongoing basis. This is meant to lay the foundation for conversation, for discussion, and for action. So what is our vision for Urhobo community? What is the Urhobo dream? The vision that we have set out that underpins everything else in this plan is that a peaceful, secure, prosperous Urhobo nation with above average global development indices. This is the vision for Urhobo, that we move from where we are now into the world stage as a peaceful, secure, and prosperous nation within the nations that make up the Federation of Nigeria. And our mission is essentially to formulate and produce this 25-year development master plan and to lobby for its implementation to actualize industrialization and transformation of the Urhobo nation. We want everyone to live and breathe this plan. Everyone has the capacity to contribute to its implementation, but also there are institutions within the Urhobo land, all the way from the Urhobo Progress Union to the Delta State government and our educational establishment, businesses, and so on. We all have a role to play in the implementation of this development plan. I think let's take a moment to pause and reflect on our place in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Urhobo people of course, an ethnic group native to the Niger Delta region of the country. We're definitely a significant part of the population of Nigeria, but the largest group in Delta State with a population of over 5 billion. With that, we can debate, but we know for sure we're the largest group in Delta State. 24 kingdoms led by our traditional rulers, our OVAs. And our contribution to the nation is huge. So we're the treasure base of the Nigerian Federation with over half of its crude oil wells and the single highest contributor of the total oil and gas output and gas reserves. So this is a land, a nation that is contributing vastly and has contributed historically to the Nigerian Federation. But let's be clear, we do have significant challenges. Despite our contribution, we haven't seen the benefits of that contribution in terms of the industrial potential of Nigeria and basically laying the basis for an industrial economy. So if we're being honest, we would know that the greatest challenge we face is really about lifting up of our population, our people, not so much in terms of the physical environment, but in terms of the damage to our environment, the adverse circumstances, the situations that we face that have done great damage to our collective psyche. In many ways, we can even say we don't know ourselves and the power that we command in that country and our power to develop our own nation to greatness. Nigeria is struggling as a nation, and the Urhobo community in the same way is also struggling. So attitudes, the way we perceive ourselves, our sense of identity are evident in the pervasive societal disorientation and purposelessness. So this problem of the challenges, the serious challenge that we face that is leading to poverty in our community, leading to a lack of purposefulness, a lack of planning, a lack of structure. These challenges are huge challenges that we need to overcome. And that forms the basis of why this plan has come into fruition, that as Urhobo, as mature as Urhobo is, we really need to begin to put things on the ground, put things on paper, and have a clarity of purpose to drive us forward. So this plan that you will see, there are 5 focus areas and 14 target areas that I will talk through in sequence. But the first, in terms of the 5 focus areas, how do we become a nation that is competitive economically? Yes. So all the way from looking at issues around food and agriculture and industry, how do we really develop those things that will enable us to be competitive within the nation of Nigeria and globally? The second is human capacity development. How do we address those challenges that we talked about in the earlier part around our orientation, around the education in our communities, healthcare, housing, safety, security, all of those things that help us to have the peace of mind to be able to focus on our future development. Then there is the urban and civil environment, our built environment, which can contribute positively if you get it right, but can also be have significantly negative impact if not properly thought through. So how do we get into the physical planning and urbanization, but also developing modern infrastructure for our nation? Arts and entertainment, as Chief Majoro said, this is an area where Urhobo people are excelling. So it's an area that we can quickly turbocharge and get much more progress. So that's also an area of focus. And then, of course, the huge problem that is facing Nigeria and the world, effective governance, making sure that we have the right governance in place, that we have the right law and order that can, again, give us the space to think and to plan and to take the actions that can drive Urhobo progress. So let's focus on the target areas individually. This is bread and butter for Urhobo Nation. We know that we have the fertile land. We know that we have such a broad range of crops and things that we can do within agriculture that can really help us to thrive. But it is not about the one individual farming for subsistence. It is about how we can harness technology to really drive the agricultural sector and to really, take that to the next level so that we can, one, feed ourselves, but also use that as a way of earning income into the Urhobo Nation. So very, very important area. We know that we already have a good foundation here. How do we take it to the next level? So we've put in the plan a number of key areas that we think are very important areas for acceleration for the Urhobo community. Just a note to say, this is not exhaustive in any shape or form. There's a lot more in the plan. And of course, there's a lot more that you have in your mind and other people have. Over time, we should be bringing those things to the fore. But food sufficiency, this is very important for any community. The production of rice, cassava, yam, maize, okra, tomatoes, all the things that form our basic local consumption, we should be in a position to produce those things locally. So that's the focus on that. Then, of course, raw materials, things that we can export, things that can help to turbocharge industrialization, not just exporting the raw materials themselves, but also getting to some level of processing at the local level. Very, very important. And then agro exports, making sure that we can participate and earn income from the global trade of key crops that we know we have in our land. Rubber, for example, oil palm, and export of food crops to the ever-expanding Nigerian diaspora. Those of us here in London, if we can get banga and, Nigerian catfish, these are significant things that we consume over here. And they are here now, but being brought over by other people. That can be happening within the Urhobo community. Agriculture is the base of any economy. And as I said, it is important that we get those two things right. One, producing for us to consume locally. Secondly, producing for export purposes. The second is really industrial hubs, parks, and digital economy. Again, this is something that we know has been proposed and proposed again in the Delta State government. We think this is incredibly important for us to focus on as Urhobo people. So special economic zones such as industrial parks and hubs, they come with great advantages for all of us. In the sense of being able to deepen our local economy, but also create jobs at the local level, upgrading labor productivity, and improving our tax base. So this is something that is important for any government. Delta State government should be taking seriously the need to create these zones. We've seen clear examples across the world and also examples in our own country, Nigeria. So industrial parks, they are special economic zones, and they are core to the story of success and transformation that you have seen in places like China. China was in deep poverty, and these are things that they have done to actually really grow and develop their economy to become now essentially the factory of the world. We can start that process in Delta State, and we think all our efforts should be made to revive and reposition, for example, the Delta Steel Company as a key driver of employment. Many here would recall the time when Delta State had so many key industry that really contributed to employment and great livelihoods for individuals across the Urhobo Nation. So we're proposing a need for free trade zones where we can basically attract companies to come and set up in our Urhobo Nation. We're also talking about a focus on natural resources. There are just so many abundant solid minerals in Urhobo that are just not exploited at all. We need to be able to capture and focus on those things and see how they can be exploited. Then the global digital economy. This is the world we are in now. It's as simple as that. This industrial revolution that is happening is digital. And because it's digital, you can literally participate wherever you are in the world. And we need to really give our young people in particular the tools to be able to participate and play a role in that. Of course, both a blessing and a curse, oil and gas. Oil and gas is abundant in the Urhobo nation. Oil and gas has been exploited from Urhobo lands for generations, and we simply are not seeing the benefits of those things. So there needs to be a more robust engagement as provided for in the petroleum industry bill for Urhobo nation to benefit from that. The refinery and activities around oil and gas in our Urhobo nation is incredibly important for us. Utorogu gas plant could become a driver of gas-related businesses. So shifting from oil to gas as energy resource of choice, gas exploration should become a central enterprise in the Urhobo nation. And of course, continuing oil exploration within the Urhobo nation must be of greater interest with active participation of Urhobo people. Urhobo people should be benefiting from the oil and gas that is in our community. Urhobo communities, individual communities, as well as the entire Urhobo nation should benefit from that. In many countries, there is the focus on small to medium-sized enterprises. Many nations will tell you this is the lifeline of their economy. Even here in the UK, that's often a statement that you hear from our politicians. It is very important that we really encourage small and medium enterprises across the entire Urhobo nation. They are prime drivers of commerce and industry, and they provide employment for a broad spectrum of people. So all the way from artisans, our moms, students, all the products and services, these are all essential aspects of work that needs to be done. What we are saying in terms of regulations and policies is that there should be a roundtable and steering committee to look at this and look at how we can minimize tax burden on people who are just setting up their own small businesses and help a way of helping people to register through digital registration. That would be a good thing for us to do. There needs to be financial incentives. Many people will tell you that the biggest barrier they face in trying to run a small business is actually about the money to be able to develop that business. So we need to be able to set up an entrepreneur's trust fund, a loan guarantee scheme, and encourage banks to invest in cutting-edge SMEs through various credit models. Also, maybe we should be gathering on an annual basis, so an annual SME fair in different sectors, e.g. food, beverages fair, beverage fair, fashion fair, etc. And it's really important to think about this. Here in the UK, we have so many of this, is unbelievable. You might be running a small business, you've run it to the limit of your knowledge. Going to something like this can really open your mind to other things that are possible. So I think this is about supporting business growth in the Urhobo nation, and is something that we should absolutely focus on. Food and beverage manufacturing, great opportunity in our nation. These industries, so all processing or transforming raw agricultural inputs into consumer food products. There is so much scope in this, so much scope, especially again, scope for local consumption, but also scope for international exports-based business development. So we need to create a technical working group, possibly, the Delta State Chamber of Commerce, to actively address issues facing the food and beverage production industry with a focus on supporting export. So that, because there's a lot of, as I say, a lot of opportunity there, given how Urhobos and Nigerians more widely are spread across the world. Develop measures and incentives to encourage Nigeria and international food and beverage manufacturers to invest in the Urhobo nation. If we want to industrialize in this sector, especially through the industrial parks and hubs, this is an opportunity to really focus on this area and get some companies locating in our community and creating employment. Engaged with the private sector, very, very important that we support and advocate for at the federal level to create a friendly climate and create a level playing field for these developments to come to our Urhobo lands. So coconut plantations and refinery, coconut oil, coconut juice, all these are important. Cassava again, and palm processing, also very important. Moving on, value orientation, again, really important to think about mass reorientation. We need to educate our people. We need to consciously work for peace and harmony within our community and within our neighboring ethnic groups as well. And our goal in this area is to make the Urhobo nation one of the most secure, peaceful, progressive, cosmopolitan areas in Africa. And again, this is really important. Without peace of mind, development cannot happen. We think there is a role for government here in terms of regulation and policies, so resolving some of the disputes that exist currently and so on and so forth, and engaging our young people to control the sale of, negative things, cigarettes, some of the drugs that are coming into the community. This also needs investment. We need to sponsor reorientation through the family, strengthen some of our traditional institutions, and help collaboration with government. And this requires partnerships and networks. I'm sure you'll see a lot more on that in terms of the fuller document. Education and training, incredibly important. The personality of a community is defined by the quality of its people. This is absolutely true. We need far more education, and it's great to see so many of our elders here who are long-term graduates. We know that this has also been a core issue for the Urhobo community all the way to the beginning of the Urhobo Progress Union. So again, important to work with government and create the right regulatory and policy environment around this, and work with the institutions we have in Urhobo land, DELSU, for example, and other educational institutions to help us to strengthen what we do in education and to give more provision for our young people. Healthcare is incredibly important, one of the most important determinants of human-centric and thriving city. We need high-quality healthcare workforce to help us to drive the right sort of care we need. Again, this is an area where government is incredibly important. Regulations, again, primary healthcare professionals by setting the right sort of performance indicators, putting in place a medical supplies management agency. We have a lot of medical practitioners of Urhobo extraction overseas. That's something we need to find a way to tap into. Again, requires investment and requires partnership and networking. Housing, incredibly important. The right to suitable housing encompassing shelter, portable water, electricity, security, and recreational facilities. These are all part of adequate standard of living. So it's really, really important that we start to think more in a structured way around this. This links very much to the urban issue that we would touch on, planning and so on and so forth, very important. Local government as well as state government, we think are important to help us to have the right regulatory framework for us to be able to build the right sort of housing in our community. Again, investment is very important around this, and partnerships and networking, especially with real estate developers and private developers, very, very important for us. Safety and security is probably number one on the agenda in the conversations we've had. This is a huge cause of problem in the Urhobo nation, whether it's in terms of dissuading our Urhobo people in the diaspora from coming to invest in the Urhobo nation, or just simply creating chaos in the community. We need to do something about security. Again, it's important we engage with the state government and our federal institutions like the police and so on, to work together to bring security to Urhobo nation. Also, requirement for serious investment in this space, but also partnerships and networks. Physical planning and urbanization. A town or a city is open land that can become a bush by default or a beautiful garden by design. We've really got to get to a place where we are designing the Urhobo landscape. The idea of people just building as they wish, one house is facing over there, another one is facing over there, is not sustainable if we really want to get to a stage where Urhobo Nation is a developed nation. That requires us to think about urban planning. Again, there are serious issues around government, local government, and the need for us to, get into landscaping and greenery and parks and gardens, things that can help people to feel good about the Urhobo Nation. There are serious challenges around this in terms of current legislation, but also accurate knowledge of the land resources that are actually available, and the potential for us to build new cities, that are properly planned is there, and we need to take those opportunities. Modern infrastructure and sustainable development links to that. We need to address issues around water, around energy, around electricity, and so on and so forth, waste management, but also sustainable development, how we can turn waste into energy and other new innovative things that people are doing around the world. Urhobo should be no different. We should enjoy those same benefits as everyone else. Again, this is very important. Arts and entertainment, young people, sports and tourism, very, very fruitful areas that Urhobo should pursue. We have set out a number of agendas in terms of what we can progress there around sports in particular, but also entertainment and arts, and encouraging people from across the world to visit the Urhobo Nation. The target number 14 is that Urhobo, we think we are a big nation and there should be an Urhobo state. This is a policy proposal that we strongly believe in, and we hope that is something that we can also think about in terms of the future development of the Urhobo Nation. As I said, we can do this, we can do it. There are many things there that are absolutely practical, absolutely straightforward, and we can dive into, but it requires all of us to think in the future, to think 25 years from now, where do we want Urhobo to be? And that means bringing together all of our key partnerships, partnering with the state government, all of you as individuals, any organizations that you belong to, all the Urhobo unions and the Urhobo Progress Union, the Ukoko Riviers, all of us, if we drive focus, we can help Urhobo to drive into the future. So today you will hear about the approach we want to use to kind of bring all of us together to focus on these 14 areas, and how we need your expertise to join some of our planning groups to help to develop the different areas together. So thank you all very much. You can access the report on this link, and I hope that you will contribute to the conversation and help to drive the Urhobo Nation forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atiaboke. That was a brilliant one. Thank you so much, Dr. Nero Gujabo. That's a fantastic presentation. Like you mentioned, the presentation will be on the website, www.urhobofoundation.org. If you look at the chat room, you will see the website posted there, and you can easily get it. So we have had a brilliant presentation already from Nero, and we want to go right into the meat of this, which is one of the reasons why we are here. And I believe that it's important that we also let you understand that we have members joining us from all over the world. So I want to say good afternoon from Nigeria to our distinguished guests, participants, panelists, and members of the Urhobo Nation across the world. It's indeed an honor to bring you to this critical point, which is the panel session of the Urhobo Global Webinar on the theme, Advancing Economic Growth and Sustainable Development in Urhobo Land, Strategies for 2025 to 2050 and beyond. And this session represents a very defining moment in our collective journey to reposition the Urhobo Nation through strategic thinking, collaboration, and deliberate action And like you've heard from the keynote speaker, we're not just unveiling a 25-year development master plan, but we are forging a bold path toward industrialization, youth empowerment, human capital development, and sustainable growth. And so the next conversation we're going to have is to bring in our key panelists who are here with us today. We have distinguished Senator Ede Dafinone, who is our distinguished senator representing Delta Central. We have Dr. Irene Akpofure, who is also one of our finest experts to the world. And of course, Professor of English and Cultural Advocate, Professor Sonny Awefiada. So I'm going to go straight into the panel session, and I'm going to start with Senator Ede Dafinone, who is our senator. He's an economist, he's an industrialist, an advocate for SME growth and public governance. Can you hear me? Can you confirm you can hear me? And
yes.
Please put up the video.
Yes, I can hear you, Benson. Thank you.
Very good. So as a seventh senator and experienced industrialist, how do you think legislation can support the implementation of the Urhobo Master Plan, especially considering areas like the industrial parks, SME financing and growth, and of course, other areas mentioned in the plan, which was just discussed by our brother?
Thank you, Benson. And first, let me thank the organizers of the webinar, especially the Urhobo Foundation, for putting this together. We really do need a plan. We're all acting in individual directions, which will never enable us to get very far. I'd like to, before I come to your question, just highlight one point from the master plan presentation that was also raised by our chairman, and then two separate points on hubs that I think I need to mention before we go further. So the first point is on identity. Both the chairman and the master plan presenter raised the issue that we need to appreciate our identity in order to come together, to make ourselves attractive. And that point is also covered in the master plan, where we compare the development of both the Chinese and especially the Jews to having that distinct identity that held them together. And I raise this point because one of the key observations I've had on this seat is that Urhobos don't help each other. And we are equally losing our identity. So in order to solve the first point in us helping each other more, the need to preserve and enhance our identity through culture, language, etc., is incredibly important. And I have a program I run in Abuja and also in Delta to make sure that we identify ourselves, especially those in government and the private sector that are doing well, in order to have more people mentoring our younger ones and even helping and supporting our older ones. I'll move on to the second point, and that has to do with hubs. Hubs as an avenue for development. The master plan presenter made reference to Osubi as an international airport hub, and this is a definite plus. A definite plus because if anybody is aware of the development that happened in Cross River State, once the people of Calabar extraction, the EFICs, had their own airline going to Calabar, the development that happened in Cross River State arising from just having a regular daily flight to Calabar was phenomenal. So very coincidentally, we today have a Minister of Aviation who is of Urhobo extraction. And he has put in the budget and is taking up the challenge of extending the airport so that we can have bigger planes landing. Those of us who travel to Delta regularly from Lagos or Abuja will have seen that in the last maybe up to 2 months, there have been no flights going in and out of Osubi as a result of the main plane that is available going for service and other larger planes not being able to land in Osubi. So extending the runway is important to increase the connectivity our people would have with Osubi, and therefore the traffic both of goods and services and people would therefore increase. Aside from that, I have written to the Honorable Minister and discussed a plan with him to make Osubi an export hub. In my past life, I'm an exporter of rubber. And I can see and appreciate that if we were to develop an export hub in Osubi Airport, where the facilities for export are put in place by the minister, by the federal government, I should say, and then we could develop export crops around Osubi, around Urhobo, that could therefore lead to a boom in agriculture, similar to what has happened in Nairobi, where you have anything from fresh flowers to pineapples and other fruits being flown out of Nairobi on a daily basis to Europe. So that's the first point on the export hub. The other, sorry, going back, I should say that the investment needed to create development is often very costly in putting infrastructure together. But in terms of the airport, we already have an airport. We already have a runway. We're talking to the federal government about putting in additional investment in order to make it work more. Which takes me to the second point. Another low-hanging fruit in terms of development infrastructure is the Sapele Port. The port is already in place. It's been built. It's a huge investment that could be galvanized to create development. I've spoken directly to the president on this, and he is also looking at it. I've spoken more recently to the state governor on this. And I believe everybody sees this as low-hanging fruit, especially the port, where not much additional investment is required in order to get the port working, and the development and the commerce that would come with that would create a mini boom in the economy of Delta Central. So to your question on legislation, if I may, the additional legislation required is your point, but I want to take us back a little bit to existing legislation. There are put in place already by the federal government many opportunities for our industries and SMEs to benefit from funding, from support, from institutions like NERSAL, Bank of Industry. I actually invited the Bank of Industry to from about 4 or 5 months ago to give a talk to our people to let them know the facilities available. From the meeting we had in Efron, they have pledged to go around the country and have similar meetings in the 36 states of the Federation. I think they realized how little people know of the opportunities available for lending that they have. And so from NERSAL to BOI to SMEDAN, there are opportunities for our people to take advantage of these federal government facilities just with a little bit more awareness, which I'm striving to bring to as many people as possible. Then to finally, your question on legislation. From the federal government level, we can implement legislation for the creation of additional avenues for further education, either through polytechnics or universities. We can also direct funding for development of infrastructure. So I mentioned earlier that development requires infrastructure. We talked of ports and airports, but also power is keen as a factor for development. Delta State is actually the state that produces the largest amount of power in the country. And yet most of the power is actually flown over us to Edo State. And recently there's even talk of sending the power to Lagos State. We need to get that power back to Delta for our industries that can then develop further productivity, and also use it as a means of attracting additional new investment to Delta State. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Distinguished Senator Ede Dafinone. Atiaboke, that's a brilliant response and quite commendable. And I'm happy you're making very, very conscious efforts, towards the resuscitation of our airports, and of course, providing some form of intervention through the Bank of Industry and other interventionist agencies. I would like to call on Dr. Irene Akpofure, our very finest robo professional expert in ESG and sustainability, environmental economist, and development finance experts, to please come on video and, of course, focus on one of the pillars, which is on environmental sustainability in terms of the frameworks. How do we ensure that we can embed ESG frameworks in implementing our industrial parks and hubs or agro-processing zones in Urhoboland, really looking at the pillars of the master plan? Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, and particularly Benson for putting this together. Before I answer your question, I also want to touch on what Nero has presented. And I'm particularly delighted that Nero, although the item, the target area of, I believe it was 12, no, it was 10, that talked about safety and security, he again emphasized that that's the most important one. So for me, I think, yes, indeed, safety and security is the most important element of our target areas. As we know, without security, without safety, no one is going to be really willing to go and invest anywhere. So I'm happy that some of the things that we're looking at today are things that we were already aware of, but we haven't got a plan. And going forward, now that we're putting a plan in place, what we're going to look at is the implementation of those plans. How do we actually get them working? I also think that we should be careful not to shy away from things that we must do to make sure that these plans are properly implemented and they become successful. So I'm going to answer your question quickly. Indeed, embedding environmental, social, and governance framework into the things that we're doing is key. We all know that. So if we begin with environmental, we have to make sure that we conduct comprehensive EIAs during planning and pre-planning phases. First of all, we have to know that these are the things that we need to ensure that our government and our people are obviously going to do what we're planning to do. So green infrastructure design is there. Waste management, we'll put that in there. We need to incorporate energy efficient buildings. Again, these will require a lot of experts. Where are our experts? We have a lot of experts all over the world. In places like England, for example, we have people designing structures and communities, Urhobo sons and daughters doing that here. How can they do that for us back home in our land? we have to look at ways, how do we encourage them back? Waste management is there. There are many discussions that I've had with previous government in Delta State, and we were proposing things like waste management. How do we get the government of the day to be interested and take on board some of the proposals that we're putting forward? That's going to be a task also for Urhobo Foundation. How we get the government of the day to do some of the things that we're planning to do. Yes, Uncle Marjorie talked about how we have to make sure that we do these things. Sometimes we have to do some of these things ourselves. Our government cannot do everything for us, but we need to be having a lobbying arm of our Urhobo Foundation that can lobby government. Some of these things we can't do ourselves. So we need to have a section of us that will be continuously talking to government. And I'm happy that we have Senator here who we can use, or we can use this platform to have some kind of lobbying so that government can focus on our region and do some of these things that we are planning to do. Pollution control is there as well, and diversity. So I'm going to go to the second element or framework that we can use under the ESGs. We're talking about the social integration, community engagement. How do we regularly get our people together? I'm happy that we're doing something like that now. At this stage, all across the world, Urhobo people are here listening, so we're sharing ideas. I believe we need something like that regularly to address certain issues. We can't lie to say that we haven't had some kind of huge institutions in our land. We had Shell. How did we manage Shell and the left? Those are some of the areas that we have to look at again. So job creation is there, skills and training is there. We have to be sure that we're looking at this and we are honest with ourselves to say, these are the things that we can do. These are the things that we got right or we're getting wrong. So if we go back to Uncle Marjorie again saying that, yes, we may have lost the, the past and we may be losing the present, but we can't lose the future. To hold on to the future, to focus on the future now, we have to look at where did we go wrong in the past. So social integration is one that I think we should look at critically. Then of course, governance and integration. Regular compliance, do we have a system in place that can hold us accountable, hold our businesses, our communities accountable? Are we the kind of people that if we have the rules and the processes, we are sure we're passionate enough to say, yes, this is what we're going to do because we have a goal, we have an aim. Our mission is to accomplish such and such and such. So how do we hold ourselves accountable so we can accomplish those missions? So stakeholder oversight will be there. We have to look at risk management as well. So these are some of the things that I would look out for in your first question. Benson, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Irene. Next is Professor Sonny Awifiada, Professor of English and Cultural Advocate. Is a literary scholar and historian. Urhobo is more than a slang, even though over time it's been abused, and we've seen a lot of issues around disunity, betrayal, and all the likes. It's a unifying philosophy, indeed, and that's what Urhobo represents. How can we use cultural education to drive deeper understanding and ownership of the development plan amongst our youths and, of course, the future? Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Benson Oweru. Like the other panelists, I want to thank Urhobo Foundation for deeming it fit to put this together for the benefit of the Urhobo nation. So to start with, the idea of Urhobo, I think, speaks to the essence of Urhobo unity, Urhobo oneness. And when we talk about framing Urhobo identity, Urhobo is second only to Urhobo, which is our rallying cry to make our people come together as one. So the essence of Urhobo unity cannot be overemphasized. Any people that desire development must be united. And I think the Urhobo people recognized this many years ago, that for them to go in the direction of their aspirations, they must be united. And Chief O.C. Majori made a point earlier about the foundation of the UPU from around 1928 and 1931. Those alive then saw the need for Urhobo to come together to forge a place for itself in the Nigerian nation of the future. And they came together and founded UPU, and they achieved so much. I do not want to go into all of that now for the sake of time. So for today's generation, we must recognize the essence of Urhobo of Wovu. Urhobo is one. And together as one, we must move to achieve our aspirations. There are indigenous concepts that speaks to unity. For instance, we say Tobona Tobona, Onyekiwara. That symbolizes cooperation. Our elders also say that Unude Sikoko, Ogbovioro, that again speaks to the essence of unity, which this generation must embrace. Now, the second leg of the question has to do with cultural education. Yes, we need cultural education right now. Because when we talk about unity of an ethnic nationality, you cannot take away cultural education. And cultural education is at the core of identity formation. And identity is a step towards ownership. So that we must do. In talking about cultural education, we must embrace our children, we must embrace our youth, and inculcate in them the ideals of Urhobo of Wovu. And beyond Urhobo of Wovu, we must also inculcate in them the idea of Odawe Urhobo, embedded in Urhobo nationalism. These things are very important. Now, talking about ownership of the development plans by the youth. This is key to the survival of the Urhobo nation into the future. Now, the agenda we are proposing is from 2025 to 2050. I just was thinking yesterday, by 2050, will Sonny be here? Will Ben be here? Even if we are here, we'll be old men using walking stick. Who then will drive the process? Our children and our youth of today. That is why we must push them in the direction of Urhobo aspiration. Shakespeare said it centuries ago, that all the world is a stage, and the men and women merely actors. They have their entry and their exit. Some 70, 90 years ago, the most of the world were in charge. Today we talk about our father, O.C. Majoro, Senator Dafinona, and so on and so forth. In another 25 years from now, which is 2050, who will drive the process? That is why we must actually bring our youth on board and inculcate in them, let me repeat again, the idea of Odawe Urhobo and then Urhobo of Wovu. Now, looking at the poll Dr. Benson conducted in the course of when we're starting, you could see the number of Urhobo people from diaspora. I want to appeal that part of this agenda should be to set up a diaspora homeland Urhobo youth network, so that many of our people in diaspora can bring back home their wealth of experience and contribute to the development of the Urhobo nation, because their parents are aging. So as we are talking about the youth owning the development plan now, the youth are those that will be handed the baton of development. So that is very important. And we must take note, gentlemen and ladies, that as we are brainstorming for Urhobo's future, other ethnic nationalities are also doing so. So in terms of cultural education, that we must pursue. Engaging our youth to sign up for this development agenda, that we must also pursue. The idea of Urhobo identity, that we must privilege. If not, if these things are not taken into consideration, all our effort will have been in vain. So reiterating the points again, Urhobo of Wovu, we must continue to run with that mantra. After Urhobo Wadu, I propose we always say Urhobo of Wovu, at home and away. Then cultural education, let us continue to pursue it at two levels, formally and informally. Informally at homes, our parents should deliberately speak the language to our children. Our parents should deliberately encourage Urhobo cuisine at home, wherever they are in the world. They should deliberately encourage the speaking of the Urhobo language. Wherever 2 or more Urhobo people are gathered, whether they can speak the language or not, they should make attempt at speaking that language. Because culture, again, is at the core of identity. And then, again, we must integrate the youth. We are talking about 2025 to 2050. 25 years is not so long a time. So our youth now should be incorporated into the center stage of this development agenda. And what should be at the core of our thinking is Odawe Urhobo, so that we actually can take center stage. I made the point earlier that other ethnic nationalities are doing what we are doing, and Urhobo nation must not be left behind. Now, in entrenching our culture, I want to propose that we set up something. It might be online, Urhobo Language and Culture Academy. Urhobo Language and Culture Academy. Look at what we are doing now. People from around the world are part of what we are doing. Let me remind Dr. Benson, we had a webinar like this some years ago. I spoke from Okpara Inland because of the magic and marvels of ICT. Now I'm speaking from Mugeli. So the embodiments, the gatekeepers of our culture, they are in the rural areas. They are in Ugono, in Ugweru, in Evrid, in Agbarato. Thankfully, ICT has penetrated these places. While our people that are in diaspora, with ICT again, we can set up an online Urhobo Language and Culture Academy to drive this aspect of the development agenda. And we must take note that industrialization without culture is going nowhere. The Chinese and the Japanese have taught the world so. So I think this is the direction Urhobo should go. Permit me to rest my case for now. Thank you.
Urhobo Language and Culture Academy.
Online.
Thank you very much for that brilliant response. I will come back to our senator, distinguished Senator Ede Dafinone. Of course, you are a politician and also an Urhobo leader elected by the Urhobos, and you represent us at the national level. What has happened over time is the disunity and a lot of divisions amongst our leaders, either politically, culturally, or even if you look at the religious body. So how can our Urhobo leaders, both at national and state levels, collaborate across party lines, religious lines, to champion the master plan strategic pillars? Because this is about Urhobo and for the development of the Urhobo nation, in your opinion.
Thank you, Benson. First of all, let me say that every politician was born Urhobo, adopted a political party somewhere along the line, which is free to drop and adopt a new membership. And so we must all realize that we are Urhobo first. And while I may change from APC to PDP or ABGA tomorrow, I cannot move from Urhobo. I am Urhobo born and I will die Urhobo. So the collaboration between our politicians across political parties, collaboration between our people across different ideologies should not be an issue. Once elections are over, I was a candidate of the APC, but I am the senator representing all Urhobo people, not just APC people who voted for me or APC supporters. So with that understanding, development, governance should commence immediately elections are over. People should drop the political wars, either within their parties or with other political parties once the elections are over. We in Delta State are in a unique position today. We are all APC. Or let me not say all, let me say significantly. There will still be a minority that will be in other political parties and even the PDP as well. But significantly, the main forces in Delta State are now APC. And that means that the state and the federal are aligned, and benefits that may have eluded us because of that can no longer elude us. And I'll give a good example of that. Where you have an APC governor and an APC president, all federal appointments that are to be made would go to the governor's office. The governor would nominate, and the president or the presidency would review and accept such nominations. But where we don't have a governor, there can be mixed messaging where a variety of submissions for appointments are coming from the state. And in some cases, because we do not have a firm seat at the table, so to speak, the appointments for Delta State, the appointments for Urhobo have gone astray. They've been taken by other states. This will no longer happen now with a governor at the table. The further and maybe much more important point to make is that we have a governor who's Urhobo. And the last time we had an Urhobo governor was 1999 to 2007. And this opportunity will not come to us again for another 16 years once he has finished his term. What we saw after the time of His Excellency James Ibori, we saw a governor of Shekiri extraction who developed his people significantly. His Excellency Okowa came on seat, and the benefits and development to his people, especially in his local government, was tremendous. I tell Urhobo people that we should not be any different. The reason for rotation of power is so that every group, every tribe benefits equally from power, because our democracy is not so advanced where you have the best going forward and resources being equally shared. So it is our turn now to be at the seat, on seats, and to take the president's phrase, Emiloko, it's our turn. The governor, as a governor of Urhobo extraction, should also do more for his people. And I believe he will. There should be no fear of any backlash that he has done more for Urhobo. He is an Urhobo governor, and that is why we rotate power. So I want to close by saying that as Urhobo people, it is important that we also support our governor, to encourage him to do more for our people and to set that foundation in place where we should return to our position as the foremost tribe in Delta State. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atiaboki Senator. We are first and foremost Urhobo, and we cannot deny our identity and who we are. Thank you for that brilliant response. Dr. Irene, I'm going to hover back to you regarding your background in sustainable development and development finance. Now, one of the biggest constraints to the growth of Urhobo Nation regarding industrialization is funding for SMEs, funding for projects, and infrastructure and all that. So given your background in development finance, what donor or DFI engagement models should we explore to support long-term projects? Because what we are doing is really around a long-term project. This is a 25 years development plan. So what, in your opinion, in terms of the engagement models or DFI models or donor models, should we explore to support the long-term projects which are captured in the development plan? Thank you.
Thank you again, Benson. Yes, indeed. There are many, quite a few. And I think incidentally, Senator mentioned one earlier in passing, and that is the BOI, Bank of Industry. We also have the SMEDAN. So if we're honest with ourselves, some initiatives or some kind of institutions we have in this country, they're there to support the kind of work that we're looking to do. They're already there. But how do we tap onto them is what we're looking at now. So if I say for what we need to do, and before I say that, actually, there are little organizations within our community that are doing something similar, right? I'll talk about where I come from. I'm from the Agbon region. We have something that we're doing in Okpara, and it's been going for many, many years. But before I talk a little bit about that, let's go for some of the structures that we can use to promote some of our target areas. We have what we can use, we call it a blended finance structure, which means we can get some capital from the federal government, but we also need to have some capital ourselves. The federal government will usually want to give us money when they know that we're serious enough to have our own little pot of money. So we can look at things like that. The BOI, Bank of Industry, is a purpose-built organization for the kind of thing that we're looking to do. But they won't just dish out money to us, obviously not. They need to see that we have structural systems in place, and then we can use that platform of an organization that has this kind of, Urhobo Foundation and the likes to go forward as a group to meet them. And I can assure you they will fund. Very recently, in the line of work that I do, we went to Bank of Industry. This was a couple of weeks ago. And we were trying to get funding for other areas because of where I work. And some organizations in the Cross River region, they've already met people at the BOI and they're funding some of their projects. We need to be looking into things like that. So the work is there, the avenue is there. We need to get our act together and then use the facilities that the government has put in place. Yes, we know that there might be some kind of what you say, this person or that person. We can still go around all that if even they wanted something from us, we can put a robust proposal together as long as they see that we're committed and we tap into that. There's something that we can also get resource-based funding, which means we show them what we've done and they give us some of the money. Again, the government supports things like that. Even the World Bank and the United Nations that we're using some of their developmental goals, they have facilities like that in place that we can look at. We can also get technical assistance, investment facilities where we have the manpower, we have the technical know-how, and we sell that, we get some money for the technical know-how that we're bringing forward. There's a pot of money for those kind of skills that we can use, all right? Many that we can look at for. So another investment that we can look at for is anchor investment or co-investment platforms. This is where donors, that's people that are contributing, we then partner with other organizations. We can explore this at a later stage. So in a nutshell, really, there are existing facilities that we can use. These things, some of them we know, some of them we don't know, that we can explore them more. In our local level, we have our local currency financing models. So let's talk about the one that I know about in the Okpara area. I think we call that elite. My doctor will correct me, what Okpara will call it elite. So in the Okpara elite, I'm not sure if many of you know about this, is an organization that funds local businesses. So we contribute money every time. I have investment with them. I may not ever need to borrow money from them, but I contribute. So I have a lot of investment with them that younger people in our community, people staying in the Okpara, Ovu, Oviore, Kokori is not involved, just people that come under what we call Okpara Waterside and Okpara Inland. A lot of the young people that we have, they use our money, investors like us, to do their local businesses. Something like that is already in place in our Urhoboland. We can explore a lot of that. There's also a body that I'm involved with, and we're called Venture Capitalists for Africa, V4A. And that organization is, you can check it out online. And this is where business people, whether you're coming with finance support, financial support, or skill support, we make ourselves available. So we've registered, they screen you first, and we're registered on this platform, VC4A, where any entrepreneur in Africa, because there are many for different regions of the world, but I belong to the one that just focuses in Africa. So we offer our services. If you don't have money, but you're offering your skills. So I'm registered there with my skills, and I've been registered for about 5 years now. So I have 3 people that I'm currently supporting, and I'm delighted to say there's one in Lagos, Nigerian. They're boys. Their company is called Teacher Set, iSet, and now they have another one called AI Teacher. So what these young boys do is a technological company, as you can guess. What they do, they have a platform, a huge software that all teachers in Africa, they're looking to sell it to global as well. But currently, all teachers in Nigeria, they've gone to Kenya too, can come onto their platform and use resources. So imagine every single teacher or lecturer or people teaching in high institutions using their platform. So they approached me. I walked through with them how we designed the platform. I offered them my skills, a little bit of money here and there when they couldn't even pay for their little software. I support a small amount of money. I will support them registering with organizations in the US so that they can have a US account. I will support them. But today I'm delighted they've got their first funding from an organization in US. They've got their first $100,000 to move their business to the next level. So there are little organizations like that that we support. So the finance is there. You need to know where to be looking for these kind of things. And I am hoping that our young people, our Urhobo young people, will take time to think about themselves and say, what do I really want to do? What are the opportunities that are out there for me? Not just waiting for the money, the money, the money. The money is there, but they want to see whether you're committed to what you're doing before the money will come to you, right? More opportunities that I can, more ideas that I can share, and more information that I can give, some that I'm directly involved, others that I know about, and I'm happy to share those as we progress. Thank you, Benson.
Thank you very much, Dr. Irene. Brilliant response. Quickly, we'll go to Professor Awifada before we take questions from the audience. Prof, you've talked about Urhobo language
and
culture academy. Yes. Looking at that in terms of the institutional frameworks needed to preserve and promote our culture in the face of globalization, what kinds of interventions, either from the universities, research institutes in Delta State or abroad, can serve as critical partners in realizing the goals of the master plan, considering, the importance of our language, our cultural preservation?
Okay, thank you very much. You mentioned globalization, and I think all of us now, from wherever we are domiciled, indigenous people, we now see globalization as an intrusive and corrosive phenomenon. And it is a threat to many cultures, including Urhobo. If you come to the homeland, many of us are domiciled in the homeland. The remotest part of Urhoboland is already under attack by the forces of globalization. I was driving through one of such remotest places one day, and I saw a grandmother who was telling the children, "Una never catch the fowl." And I confronted her that, Oni, on a tina, what are you catch and I walk more? What you roboke more? And her response was that, Takwinimo na nyemi, Tumuke Masa Jeka Jobi, Onya Jewokai. And that was a very sad day in my life. So what we can do now is for Urhobo people to encourage institutional interventions to help promote and sustain our culture. Now, beyond institutional also, we should also begin a campaign, or let me say, begin a crusade. I call it Urhobokemo. Urhobokemo, let us speak Urhobo to the children. I made the point earlier that this agenda is 2025 to 2050. We might not be here or might not be strong enough to run with this agenda in its totality. So those who are handing the baton over to the EMO, the children. Hence, I'm thinking of Urhobokemo, a kind of crusade, not just in the homeland, but even in the diaspora. Let me give a personal example. I was born in Kaduna. Then from Kaduna, my parents were transferred to Ibadan. So meaning I was quite cosmopolitan in my childhood. Then somehow I was brought home. Home now meant Urhobo. Today, I give lectures in Urhobo language. I could give public lectures for 1 hour in Urhobo, and I might not use more than 2 or 3 English words because they do not have equivalent in Urhobo. So, but coming to the Urhobo homeland now, I just give examples of that. One of the remotest part in Urhobo land, a grandmother was telling the children, "We never catch the fowl since morning." That should tell us that we should be living in trepidation. So going back to what I call institutional intervention, already there's an education policy, because we're talking about institutions now, framework. There's an education policy that enables the teaching of Urhobo in primary and junior secondary schools, especially in Delta Central Senatorial District. This is good, but it can be strengthened. So we can make attempt to see that the Urhobo language is taught in senior secondary school. That Urhobo language becomes a subject of examination in JAM. Right now, we are fortunate, and I can beat up my chest, that we have a BA Urhobo linguistic program running in Delsu. And as we speak, some people have got master's degree in BA Urhobo linguistic. I think some of them are here. One or two people have also got PhD in BA Urhobo linguistics. So I think we are doing well institutionally in terms of formal engagement. So if we deliberately pursue this line, we are going to end up consolidating the fortune of the language and by extension, the culture. So we should do this very well because of the future of our people. Now, away from that framework, we can engage Urhobo bodies. To start with, the Urhobo Progress Union, UPU. There are so many other clubs. Atamu is there, Urhobo Social Club is there, Solidarity Club is there, Urhobo Renaissance Society is there, Urhobo World United is there. All of them to join in this crusade. For the purpose of emphasis, let us inaugurate a movement, Urhobokemo. It is something that we should do right now. And it should take place wherever Urhobo people are found, anywhere in the world, not just in the homeland. Then the campaign should ensure that wherever we have Urhobo people, they should be made to speak the Urhobo language, whether they understand or not. Then we should also encourage our people to learn the orthography. Let us learn the orthography, because a language that is not written is on its way to extinction. So whether it is flawed or it is correct, we fall and rise, we rise and fall and rise. Let us take this into consideration. Now, part of this non-formal engagement, we can produce audio visuals of Urhobo ways of life. I think Auntie Ruki is doing that very well. One Clement Ejaita is also running something online. We can do all of this to help strengthen the Urhobo language. Then also the non-formal sector. There are many churches in Urhobo land as we speak. The Catholic Church and Anglican Church can be emulated. There are some sermons and services they conduct in the Urhobo language. So as part of this, what we are doing, let me inform this body, and maybe Chief Majoro and Dr. Benson can drive this for us. As part of strengthening Urhobo language and culture, we have this body in Delsu, Urhobo Studies Association. It has been on for 20 years. So far, we have produced Urhobo language curriculum for primary schools and junior secondary school. We have also been publishing Aridon, International Journal of Urhobo Studies, which is now available all over the world. We have conducted seminars, workshops, and conferences, all to promote Urhobo language and culture. And we have been assisted by Atamu Social Club and some others. But basically, we run that thing, that association ourselves. So by September, the body will be 20. And part of our agenda, to key into this agenda for Urhobona, is to do a workshop and a conference to further entrench, sustain, and promote Urhobo language and culture. So maybe Chief Majoro and Dr. Benson, you help us drive the process. We are at a junction now where we need money to drive the conference. So if this is supported, because Chief Majoro made a point much earlier, that, oh, we cite Mukoromo and co. They did so and so in their time. What have we done for this generation? And say, oh, at so and so point in time, we did this for the Urhobo nation. So formally and informally, all hands should be on deck to promote Urhobo language, to promote Urhobo culture, because without the language and the culture, no development agenda can work. So I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonny Awifada, for that brilliant response. And we look forward to collaborating with the USA Urhobo Studies Association in our determination to promote the culture. It's now time for interaction. We have at least another 30 minutes or so for interaction. So if you have any question, I'd like you to use the chat room to please raise your question, and we will give permission to one or two persons to unmute their mics and, of course, speak. Make sure it is succinct and to the point, and, of course, the master plan which has been presented. I think the panelists have done justice to the master plan discussions, and it will be expedient, generally for us to appreciate the work they've done. But if there are any gray areas you require clarifications, we'll appreciate you to please post your questions on the chat room. And then we can also take one or two persons to unmute their mics and ask questions. I would start with Mr. Clyde Collins. I think you raised your hand from the UK. So I would ask you to unmute your mic and then, of course, ask your questions directly.
Yes,
Hey.
I appreciate this gesture, and I thank all the organizers and the members of the panel team. But one concern I would just like to raise is that if we really want to encourage growth among the youths, which I am part of the youth, this is the right time for us to start translating the educational books in Urhobo language. The only thing we've done over the time is to translate the Bible into Urhobo language, which actually has caused a lot of separative ideas in terms of how we interact with one another. But now, the educational book should be translated to Urhobo language, and then Urhobo language itself should be taught in school. When I went to Urhobo College, there was Urhobo language. Then we were using this Urhobo book 1, book 2, and all that. But we don't see those books anymore. It has become so much of like we are inclined to religion. The second aspect is food, agriculture, and security. I remember way back, we produced Gari by ourselves, but currently, I stand to be corrected, Gari is being imported into Delta State from other parts of the country, from Kogi State and the rest. And that is one aspect we have to look at. Then, in terms of cotton, which is, we use wax print a lot in the Nigerian community or the Nigerian nation. Cotton production has dropped over time. Blessed memory, Governor Akeredolu of Ondo State, I had the opportunity to meet him in Thailand, where he came to look at possibility of using hemp to bring back fiber production and then boost the textile industry in Nigeria. Currently, the India hemp bill is in the second. I've gone through the second reading, but it's just there. Nobody's even dealing with it because we can use that plant also for so many aspects. Then Akpofure made mention about having group of lobbyists. We need that to be able to push these agendas forward for manifestation and implementation. If we don't have people in there to lobby, most of these things we're talking about might not get government support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clyde Collins from the UK. Our brother, Wether Baho from Canada, please unmute your mic and make your comment or ask your question, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother. I want to appreciate all the panelists, the speakers, from Professor Wifada to Dr. Akpofure and Senator Dafenone. I want to appreciate the organizers. I see this because we're talking. One thing I know that Nigerians are very heavy on is we're very heavy on workshop, seminars, and the rest. But I'm thinking of going to the level of operationalizing our aspirations. And I want to ask, the first question I want to ask here, please, is to the Senator. What is the status of Delta Steel Company? Because that's just like you said that we have the port there, we have the airport there, just scaling up and the rest. I think Delta Steel Company, because I was a staff there in 1981, what is the status as it relates to the benefit for the Urhobo people? And that is one. Then the second one is an opinion. I think this is a very good starting point, but let's look at the low-hanging fruits here. For example, like my brother said, Clyde, importation of Gari into Delta State. I think we can do some cottage industry movement here by creating Gari frying points in our villages, our communities too, so that we can start to put these things into place before we begin to ask for government support. Like Okakuro said, Osimajoro, government cannot do everything. So I think we need to help ourselves here. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the senator dropped off. He actually had informed that he had a 1 o'clock, so he dropped off. For the Delta Steel Company, I'm not sure who is capable to provide a status response to you regarding that, but I think that's a valid question, which I think we would have to revert on, because information on status will have to be with data, not just speculation. And I think that we need to be mindful of that. Every other thing you said is valid, so we'll come back to you, our brother Wether Baho from Canada. Mr. Caro in Najimo, can you unmute your mic and then, of course, ask your question or make a comment briefly?
Thank you very much, sir. I want to thank the organizers for this opportunity, and I want to thank the panelists too for doing a good job in delivering that which they have so far done. My question really is on the ground of what Prof raised. Two things especially. He said one, on the problem of this 25 years mark. Really, if you are looking at the reality of that being met, number one, those who are championing the idea of having some of these goals met by that time would not be as strong and as vocal to actually see how to also front some of the things they are trying to accentuate now. And another thing he also made mention of is the problem of globalization and how it has entered into several communities around the Urhobo communities and influence the people, let's say, positively and also immorally. There's a problem of morality right now amongst the youths, and I want us to really address that. We are hoping that the next generation will be true ambassadors of these ideas we are trying to sell. But there is a problem. There are people not very interested in these things in these communities. I am on ground here in Wari, and I'm seeing every day how some of these youths are wallowing in drug addictions, sexual abuses, all forms of social vices or whatever it is that is taking their minds away from these goals we are trying to champion. So what is really the plan to deal with some of those issues at that level, really, to attend to some of these issues that are affecting them psychologically, philosophically, and morally? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure that if you listen to the plan, one of the key highlights of the plan is the 14 target areas, which are specific and dedicated to emancipating the youth from the menace of some of these vices, and juvenile delinquent acts that you've mentioned. And I think Prof. Sonia Wifed actually highlighted it, as well as Dr. Irene Akpofure. So I would like Prof., if you are still there, Sonny, to just quickly respond to this very important question, because I know you actually brushed it off in your reaction. Yeah. So I'd like you to respond to Caro in Ajimo from Warri.
Okay. Thank you. The first thing he raised is the idea of the youth and the problem. That is not a problem, really. The fact that the development plan is for 25 years is no problem. It only means that we are being futuristic. So what I will advocate, again, I said while I was offering my intervention, is for us to incorporate the youth. And I'm happy someone like Karen Ajomo is with us. I can attest that Karen Ajomo is one of the best in his generation across Nigeria, not just in Delta State. And I'm so delighted when I heard you invite him to ask his question. So, Caro, integrate your generation into whatever we are doing. Then the other issue he raised has to do with globalization and its encroachment on our society. We cannot run away from this. Globalization has come to stay. It will continue to encroach. All we need to do now is to do what? Mount bulwark to protect our culture, to protect morality. So this brings us to the question of domestic dysfunctionality. Many homes are dysfunctional. So maybe from this agenda now, we can begin a campaign and a crusade on moral rearmament, that all that we are doing henceforth to have didactic content. Again, it is also beyond the homes. Right, Nigeria right now, we no longer punish offenses. We lack institutional sanctions. Sanctions are no longer enforced. So everybody now takes law into his or our own hands. But for the Urhobo people, let us begin from our homes. If every home is well constructed morally, society and by extension, Urhobo nation will be well constructed. Then some of the factors enunciated in this agenda, if they are well implemented, from going through it, 70% of what are being proposed are targeted at the youth. So if this agenda succeeds, I'm sure we will have railroaded majority of our youth onto the path of rectitude for the good of the Urhobo nation. So it is something we should think about and run with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sonia Wifada. We have
Benson, may I also like to also comment on this one?
Please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
So this is for Carol and Ajimo. I could hear the pain in your voice when you're talking about this, and rightly so, because it's actually something that concerns a lot of us. I could hear in your voice when you said, all this youth, what can we do about it? And you're right. We can't get anywhere if we have so many young people not utilizing the skills positively. So the discussion is not going to just be one here, but just to calm your mind a bit, I think we can be looking at something that we have regular, perhaps quarterly meetings, conferences, where these youths, they will come, they will talk about what they want, we will talk about what we want, just have some kind of interaction. Usually when you have that kind of talk, it breaks people's views, ideas, beliefs, and we can begin to move people from where they are to a position that is closer to where we're going. So it's a long journey that you have to look at a lot of things that have resulted or moved our young people to the place that they are now. That is one of the reasons why institutions or organizations like Shell perhaps couldn't survive. So we are doing certain things that may hurt ourselves. Yes, the young people may not have a true somebody in their life that they can admire, some kind of figure, some kind of, what's the right word now, a role model that they can look up to. We need to be bringing people like that in those forums, in those discussions, in those seminars. Sometimes the only people they see are people that will just come and flaunt money in events. So they're having a party, somebody will just come and spray money. You don't know where the money has come from. So, you know, the culture, what we're saying to people is just get this money. And young people, they have their mind is like a sponge. You put water, it just soaks it up. So we need a lot of work to try and get our young people to a point where there's value and the inculcated value that some of us had, so that even when something's happening here, we're strong enough in our values not to jump into that kind of thing that's happening. All that has been lost over the years. So for Carol, yes, I hear your voice. I think this discussion needs to be taken to another level where you and people like us, we sit and we have some kind of regular, maybe biannual or quarterly meetings, quarterly interactions, quarterly discussions to get all those young people to also come and talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Irene Akpofure, for that brilliant intervention. I would like to open the floor to Teddy Okumakube. Teddy, interestingly, used to be the president of Atamu Social Club. Former president of Atamu Social Club, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Benson. And I must thank the organizers of this webinar and all those that put the development plan together. I have been an advocate of putting a document in place that you can refer to, and from where you can draw actions and suggest to successive governments, either at the local, state, or federal levels for the development of Urhobo land. I've listened attentively, and I want to say, the first thing I want to say is that the document appears very robust. I don't have the details yet, but the document appears very, very robust. And we have to sell it to the entire Urhobo nation in all platforms. So with respect to this, I want to suggest that, number one, we hold a retreat. We put together a retreat for representatives of all major Urhobo clubs and present it to them and get their buy-in into this. And also, everything we are talking about here, one of the most important aspects of this development plan is the education of the youths. Our youths need to be educated in all ramifications, morally, financially, and everything. When you say there are no finances, there are finances everywhere. There are finances everywhere. Benson Uweru can finance a 1 million naira project, and that can take that person out of poverty. But can they come and tell you what they want to use the 1 million for? The day they receive the 1 million, they are already equal to Benson Uweru, and they want to enjoy like Benson Uweru, who gave them the 1 million. So we need to educate them that there are 4 factors of production, and the 4 factors of production have their rewards. Elementary economics. Land will get rent, entrepreneur will make profit, what's the other one? Labor will collect his salaries, and capital will take its interest. So we must let our people know, our children, our women, especially our youth, that once you are ready to pay for capital, The capital is sitting there waiting for you. That is we need education on all aspects of this master plan. Then the senator, my boss, and my brother, Senator Ede Dafinone, talked about Urhobos not helping each other. We also need to educate Urhobos that for you to be helped, you need to put yourself in a position to be helped. I am looking for a first class. You are coming with a third class. How will I help you? You will tell me the north, we do it. It doesn't work. It's not as competitive in the north as it is competitive here. We must educate our people to put themselves in a position to be helped. Come and give me 10 million for business. No business plan. How do I help you? I come from BOI to educate you on how you can get money from BOI. You are telling me you don't make your money finish. So all this education, we have to set up a program to drive all this education through, and Urhobos will be able to help themselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sorry, 1 minute. The last point I want to make is, for Urhobo to develop, Urhobos must invest in Urhoboland. Charity begins at home. Apart from the DODs and the Hebrews of the world and the Majoros, I know Majoros set up that resort over 40 years ago. From Lagos, he went back to Abraka. So all of us must make our money in Lagos and come back to come and set up this thing. If we wait for anybody and wait for the government to come and set up something, we will not. Lastly, please, Ide has made the point. This is the turn of Urhobo. It's an Urhobo governor. We need our brother, my friend, my everything, to know that he needs to create Urhobo billionaires. Ibori created Urhobo billionaires. Okowa created Ika billionaires. I don't know of Odua, but my brother should create Urhobo billionaires. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Teddy Okumakube Omusi, for that brilliant intervention. We want to call on Sam Egbeni Yoko from the UK to please also make your intervention or ask your question. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Benson. Just in an area of contribution. And so my point, my contribution here is how we can look about finance and investment, and that is how we can pull resources together. Urhobo need a fund. For instance, Urhobo, as it is, we need a fund of about, say, $1 billion. Because when you talk about this investment and want to collaborate with investors, foreign investors, they want to ask you, how much have you got on your pocket? How much have you got on your grant? Even if, like Irene said, they want a back of investment or back of industry to collaborate, they want to ask you, how much have you got? So the question as part of this plan, this blueprint, is how we can get a development fund that we contribute to. We have something similar, which is actually the Okugbe Microfinance Bank. And I want to think about how the Okugbe Microfinance could be part of this initiative, such that we could say, coming out of this, for instance, passing through the UPU and the Council of UVAs, we have 8 local governments in the state, in the Urhoboland, and to say out of those 8 local governments, every local government should be mandated to contribute 50 million to this fund every year. If they do that for 2 years, that will give us about 800 million. If we add that to what we've got now in the Okugbe Microfinance Bank, which I think is about $500 million, we're adding more than 1.3 billion naira. And so with that kind of money, we're in that kind of position, yes, we're in strong position to negotiate to attract foreign investors. Whether they're going to be in the kind of cassava industry, there's a whole chain of things in cassava, from starch and all of that, but a very good cassava factory will require about 300 million to 400 million. So if we have an Urhobo fund of, say, 200 million that can bring 200 million down, and they attract more of these foreign investors, say, okay, I'm going to put a first-class cassava industry here, that will be good. That will spill over to the farmers who supply cassava to that particular factory. We can do the same in the oil industry, in the palm oil, which is a natural industry as well. And there's a whole chain of work around palm oil, and of course, other industries. So my point here is how we can link the microfinance initiative with this particular initiative we are driving, bring in our local government to raise good fund for investment from the Urhobo Nation.
Thank you very much, Sam Igbeniyoko. One more, and then we would quickly move on to other items. I will call on Dr. Agama Ivianure Ibuno to please make your intervention or make your comments quickly.
It's all right. Thank you, Dr. Benson. We're on the Urhobo Foundation for organizing this webinar. I want to appreciate every other person that have made their comments and contributions so far. Yes, it was mentioned in the policy document that was shared with us that we need to do industrial parks and hubs, and there was need for us to reactivate the ports that are located in our area. Delta is rich in water resources. We all know that's a fact. And this water resources in the economic language these days now is called the blue economy. It is one economy that can transform the landscape and empower our youth. We are aware that we have over 40% youth unemployment in Nigeria. So part of those 40% are in our Delta region and in Urhobo land. And we are in the hub. We are situated in the Delta with access to the sea and oceans. And that economy, the blue economy, we need to tap into it critically. I just like what the last speaker have said, that the Okugbe microfinance and other investment vehicles that have been driven by Urhobo professionals and indigents should partner with existing government and every other PPP initiative to ensure that we have access to fund some of this initiative. Because if you really need to put up these industrial parks, set up SME hubs, and guarantee food security in our place, we really need access to finance. And we all agree that the funds are there. It's just that awareness among our people is low. And coming out from this meeting, we want to increase awareness and partnership so that people can have access to funds. So I just want to reemphasize that the blue economy in the Delta should be given a critical look, because it's one of those low-hanging fruits that are hanging. If the port in Sapele is working very well and that in Warri is working very well, it will have a multiplier effect on the economy. It will create more jobs. It will create some infrastructural development. It will empower a lot of people. And then, of course, all our youths, instead of taking colos and imbibing in drugs and 419 as it is, they will have creative means to channel these energies and become more productive and add value to the society. So I quite agree with the organizers that the blue economy should be put on the forefront, as well as ensuring that while we tap into the blue economy, that our people will not suffer from erosion. Because as it is, anytime there is serious flood in recent times, our people are affected. Erosions, taking away our lands, taking away our people, decimating our population. So while we tap into this blue economy too, we equally put in place measures to ensure that we can preserve these lands and our waterways so that it doesn't become inimical to our population or to our progress. These are just some of the points that I needed to just share with this August assembly. Thank you.
God bless you, Dr. Agama. Brilliant intervention and very well noted. For gender equality or some balance, I know we have Dr. Irene, but I think for the participants, let's take Dr. Benis Onome Dema, who used to be the president of the UPU in North America, who's joining us. So I'm happy to see you, Auntie Onome.
Greetings, everybody. I'm not even going to take 2 minutes. I just wanted to chime in and thank Urhobo Foundation and all the organizers of this wonderful webinar for all that you have done. And I'm really excited. I love what the bits and bits that I've been hearing. And clearly, we have identified, for the most part, the problems we have in our land and or our Urhobo nation. And so having identified and, we know what the issues are, I know that we're going to work towards trying to actualize profile solutions to the problems going forward. But what I'll really pray we can do is have more of these sessions and, like the youth Our representative spoke about, I think, Carol. Okay, we can get more of the youths involved. And like Dr. Will said, get more women involved too. I'm sure you did, but let's try to ginger more so the whole nation can be truly represented. But kudos to all of you. Great job. And I look forward to, more of this. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And it's great to see you again.
Thank you very much to the organizers. I just want to make a very quick contribution. So, and that's the part that the distinguished Senator Dakinone actually mentioned, the issues of the low-hanging fruit. I really want to go back there. And a lot of these the presentations, yes, I know, quite fantastic, but I also wanted to see some specifics, the things that we can actually tap into, which are the low-hanging fruits that he actually mentioned. So I'll go back again to Sapler, which he actually mentioned as an example. And there are so many companies that we use and top feeds. All of these companies have gone moribund. But the good thing is that the spaces they occupied, they are still very much there in the Sapler. And I think Sapler was once a kind of hub where people from all over the country actually went to actually participate in business activities and make a living for themselves. So if these things are actually still there, and we have a very good and effective management team that can actually handle these businesses, I think these are things that we can actually revive and can actually develop or generate some employment for youths around those areas. Somebody also mentioned things like, is it DSC? So data steel company and all of that. And I'm sure there are several that are scattered around the Urhobo land. If we can actually identify these ones in these different towns across Urhobo land and galvanize resources from diaspora and others that we can get these resources from, put a solid management in place, we can begin to revive this company to the benefit of the youths that we're trying to engage in meaningful activities across Urhobo land. So I think that's just my humble suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norda Iburoro.
Thank you very much for the organizers, the speakers, what I call a kind of patriotic sentiment or consciousness in advancing the Urhobo nation. I want to speak on the issue of unity. Most of the speakers actually spoke on it, but there is while we are optimistic that we can drive all of these points realistically, I'm also in a way worried about a very disturbing issue of politicians manipulating Urhobo Association or association formed to champion the cause of the Urhobo nation. So now, bringing these ideas, we also need to be intentional about discouraging such political maneuvering or manipulations of such association in order to strengthen Urhobo nation, which is part of what the speakers have significantly spoken on. And the second point is security. Yes, there's these manifestations in Urhobo land by Urhobo youth, and sometimes they are encouraged by community leaders. If we talk of investment in Urhobo land, we need to first of all discourage this politics. That way, communities have to be involved. Community leaderships have to be involved in discouraging this. So the effort to be made in discouraging all of this should be part of the deliberations so that it will be practical enough. We know we'll be able to realize it. Once again, thank you, Dr. Benson.
All right, thank you, Dr. Stephen.
Melia ujuro bakpe memoke ikwo ediane kesa le yokera iwo se usira na le ilo reje oborubo webiko meka je ebere oyibo si na o very okofa kurubo meka je when I look at the pool, the various pools that were conducted, I looked at that of agriculture, food and security in Urhobo land. 0% was what I saw. And one of our brothers, when he was talking, he lamented about how Gary our major staple food is being imported to Urhobo land. It is very embarrassing. So I know very well the Urhobo nation, in terms of human resources, is well blessed. We have different men and women professionals in different fields, especially in food production, in agriculture. And I want to suggest here that the reason and the motive, which is very, very much in place, the spirit that brought about this webinar and the people behind it, and those of us who are fine time to also attend, let us imbibe the spirit of those that built the Tower of Babel. And the spirit is that of unity. Oshebe, Honorable Owara, any one of us in every area of your professionality, of your specialty, go around the villages, the towns in Urhobo land, and these our youth, which have become our common pain, let's galvanize them together. Let's teach them one skill or the other. Actually, I am not really an advocate of the formal classroom education any longer, but I am a strong advocate of skill that can add value and provide solution to people's needs and problems. And in the area of food, I know I can function there very well. And having said this, I also want to plead with the organizers. Let us not make this another talk show. Let committees that will bring about the practicality and the implementation of the action plan as have been presented be put in place. And let us start, no matter how little, let us start and grow from there and let Urhobo grow. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. My contribution to this webinar is on Urhobo language development. Speaking on partnership, I understand that there's a religious organization in Urhobo land. It's actually Jehovah's Witnesses. They have a translation office in Agbaro. That translation office translates documents, although they are religious documents, publication, and videos and all that, to Urhobo language. So if there's a way Urhobo people can partner with them.
All right, thank you, Benson. Before I go ahead, I want to greet, I hear the title being ascribed to him. I'm not well updated, or Kakuru, Charles Majoro. I want to meet the if you can hear me. The reason is that I am sufficiently humbled by the fact that he's been committed to promoting Urhobo affairs to the extent that he's done it several times. And so I join the rest of us to thank all of you, Benson, who have put this together. My intervention is very brief. I want to thank Professor Sonia Wifeda for that very lucid intervention expressions. Also from, I'm particularly humbled by what I've heard so far, what Dr. Akpofure also said. My concern is this, and I was praying for Professor Wifeda as he was speaking, praying fervently that, oh Lord, here comes the messianic ideas that will eventually solve up the problems we are facing in our nationality. I want to say my request is this: is that Professor Wifeda was talking so much about identity, culture, and all of that. I think he has been quite a self-effacing person, in the sense that how come he's been involved in all these things for more than 20 years?
doing quite a lot. I was shocked by many of the things they mentioned, and many of us are not aware. Communication is key. I gained quite a lot when Prof was talking, making all of those very personable references. Then I said, okay, in closing this intervention, I want to say that all of this should be geared towards the future. The last speaker, before this one that spoke about, the need for us to avoid manipulating such noble and laudable ideas like this for personal ambitions. I think we must gear all efforts towards preserving the future. And that's why I started by thanking the respected architect, Charles Majoro, who has shown a fantastic example in investing in the future by getting involved in all of this. So in closing, I would say that, okay, so Prof. Awifada needs to do more in carrying, he exudes a lot of leadership qualities, even though he restricts himself to his teaching duties. There is need to be more practical in investing in the language. So if you are thanking Auntie Rookie for that fantastic job she's doing, I wonder if we have an app already on in any of the app stores, whether in iOS or Android. Let's begin to be more practical, because as a Christian, they say where your heart is, there your treasure will be. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. What it means is that your money goes there first, then your heart will follow. I think many of those things that Professor Awifade has identified, many of those things he's been doing in expression of leadership responsibility, we need to show as committed people, they should open this up for funding first. And of course, you don't expect anything less from Dr. Apofure, who was given a very fantastic funding model. When you say, okay, you have to show your kind of seed funding commitment. So we've got to, so every one of us here beyond talk, because I'm tired of talking. If it is talking, I've had millions listening to me all the time as audience. It's not about talking and people listening, it's about doing, and it's about posterity. So in course of that, let's do something very tangible. So it's about money, it's about putting money into the things that matter. So I'm addressing, with much respect to Professor Awifada, who has humbled me with the massive interventions he's been doing over the years, that please, open these things up, get people, let's raise funds from us on our own, put monies in these places, for the sake of our children, for the sake of the young people. It's not about us anymore. Because if I look at the Urhobo land that I grew up in the 70s and 80s, I cry. And Sonny shares the same sentiment with me. So this kind of intervention now is preservative, not necessarily for us, not because somebody wants to gain clout or one thing or the other. And that's why I'm happy with the quality of persons like Benson, who I met a few days ago and who exuded such a fantastic leadership quality. So I'm not surprised this is happening now. Please, gentlemen, there's no time, ladies and gentlemen, there's no time to say this much. All I address is much of Professor Awifada should now begin to open some of all these things and be more forceful in asking us to support all of these things and not be reserved as he has been. Thank you. I cannot thank him enough anyway. And I'm so thankful to the Almighty God that, look at Sonny Awifada, who I grew up with in my later days in Ughelli, giving these ideas that are so, how would I describe it? As it speaks, I'm thinking about how people, the state of Israel, the people that the Zionists preserve the state of Israel. That's the same mentality and the same feeling that I get, that wells up in me when he speaks. And I say, look, it goes beyond talking. Let's act. And it is about putting money. Benson, when we left this place, open up fund. If you cannot do it, ask Sonny, who has been in the forefront, open up something and let people put money there and let us see action. If you want to develop language, if you want to develop anything, and that's, if we put our money there, then we will be truly interested in what's going on. I apologize for taking longer time that I proposed. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank Tietie. I think we are getting to the high point of this webinar, which is now bringing it to a halt, and we would call on Mr. Daniel Esiekbe, who is our convener and a member board of trustees of the Urhobo Foundation, a man who we all highly respect, visionary, passionate about Urhobo development, to give us some closing remarks. Mr. Daniel Esiekbe, over to you. Can you please unmute your mic as you give us closing remarks, please?
Yeah, thank you, Benson. Yes, I'd like to thank all the participants, but that will come as a vote of thanks later. But generally, just to respond, because I'll be remiss of my duty if I allow some of the comments I've heard now to go without my remarks. Urhobo Foundation has been involved in this intellectual work for over 40 years. The strategic think tank. I have heard today that, language is important. The youths are, getting astray. Urhobo Foundation has touched on all of these points in the past and still continue to support in those areas. We have published a book, the Urhobo Primer, authored by architect Majuro, with support from other Urhobo authors, on how we can teach our younger ones the Urhobo language. When we moved into the digital age, we created the urhobotutor.com, which is an online educational platform for educating our people. Just to respond to that point. The other thing about leadership that has repeatedly, cropped up, leadership to move our youth in the right direction and provide the kind of support that they require for the right orientation. I think there's a sort of mercantile, transactional culture that has unwittingly crept into the Urhobo land, where everything is about money. So I therefore want to call on all of us in trying to market this plan, to be mindful of a need, to have an ideological conversation and conversion of our young people to move away from mercantile transactional culture where everything is about, grandma go chop, bag, where's the money? So we're beginning to disrespect intellect, people who have ideas. So we are an ideas platform for the Urhobo nation. And we've been doing this for over, 40 years. The 25-year development plan proposals discussed today by eminent Urhobo sons and daughters is a continuation of our intellectual support and contribution to the Urhobo nation. No meaningful human undertaking can succeed without research and planning. So the amount of research that has gone into this document that has been put at your disposal, how many rivers do we have in Urhobo land? How many of them can be dammed for cottage electricity supply? How many of them can be part of the blue economy and all of that? That's huge research going into. How many ports do we possibly have and can have? How many of our villages and towns open into the Atlantic for deep sea ports and deep sea opportunities. All of this research, the food crops in Urhoboland, the cash crops in Urhoboland, how do we move all of what we have as food crops from being raw materials to finished products so we can export? That huge body of research that supports this document, I commend to you as you help us to spread the plan that we've. The other point that I want to touch is what we have and who we are and how we can become a great nation. That idea is so important that we need us to disseminate that. What do we have in Urhobo Nation? Who are we as a people? How can we be a better and a greater nation? So that today is better and tomorrow can even be better. Our plan that we have provided before the Urhobo Nation today provides clarity and vision. It also provides direction so that people can tap in and use that vision to drive our future. It will enhance resource allocation, monitoring of budget holders, encourage broad sensitization, measurement, innovation, and adaptability. This is where we call on volunteer groups who can take aspects of this plan and use those plans first to sensitize and to attract people who have money apart from people in government, to invest. This plan, properly sold, articulated, will enable our budget holders in government and the private sector and individuals to key into a future for the Urhobo Nation. I therefore call on all our sons and daughters, especially the volunteers that will form the fulcrum of moving this plan forward, to reach out to our political leaders, captains of industries, community leaders, on the need to adopt and implement this plan for the benefit of our nation, the Urhobo Nation, today and for a better tomorrow.
Awesome.
That's the nucleus of what we have put before you today. We are a think tank. We provide, ideas. We provide intellectual pathways that can lead our people to prosperity, and the future will be great for us and our children if we help to sell this plan that we've discussed extensively today. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you, our leader, our convener, a member board of trustees, Uncle Dan Esiekwe, for that brilliant closing remarks. Someone, Professor Stella Omonigo, has indicated that we should understand how we can volunteer to serve in committees if need be. We have done 2 polls. I'm going to do a more deliberate poll, which will focus on this, and we would like to ask you to volunteer and indicate the strategic pillar and target areas you would like to function in with your details, your email address, phone number, and your name. So Neil Yoroko, please go ahead.
Okay, Pakume, Mingwo. My name is Sonny Yoroko, team lead of Sunlight Foods and Sunlight Agro Services. I've been in the farm all this while. I have to pause my work and listen to the program ongoing because I'm into processing, and in my little capacity, I'll be able to export some of our food items from Ohio Delta State to UK, Canada, and US. And finance has been a challenge, but I never allowed to be a challenge. And we are currently doing a program right now that we discover that we have a lot of produce in Delta State, but we lack processing facilities. And this is where I want our fathers, mentors to come in and set up processing plants. I was privileged to anchor a program by Quest FM, where we discovered that some women in Uzere, which is outside Delta State, usually dry their tapioca with the gas flaring heat, which is poisonous to our system. And I was able to come out with an idea that we can actually have solar dehydrators where we can dry pepper, dry tapioca, and the rest. And in my own capacity, I'm drying snails, periwinkle, fish, and I'm exporting at my own little capacity, but we equally need help. And that also helped me to engage 1 or 2 youths. But I believe that if we can expand in producing and producing, more youths will embrace agriculture, like what I do. But right now, what I'm doing in the farm, before I anchor this program, I'm actually planting okra, which I want to dehydrate and send them to the UK, US, and it has been a great privilege. Most of our people in diaspora are patronizing me from Ogele here. And I believe if they really invest in agriculture, where we have farms open up for youth to come in, help them to process and export, it's going to reduce the unemployment to a very great extent. This is the little contribution I have. Thank you, sir, and God bless you.
God bless you. So let me call on our convener and the chairman of the organizing committee of this webinar, a great man that I have worked with on this project, Mr. Prince Randolph Erumagboriye, to please give us the vote of thanks as we close.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Urhobowado.
Hey.
Urhobowado. Isiagwario.
Yeah.
Today is one of my happiest days as far as our nation is concerned, because we have done incredibly well. The journey to this day has been very challenging, but we are here. And one of the biblical verses that was very encouraging in the process is the one that says, in the last days, the sons and daughters will prophesy. The young men will have vision and the old men will dream dreams. That scripture is being made manifest in our lives today because the theme of the presentation is Urhobo Dream. We're in a generation right now who are dreamers, and we have visionaries, and we have those who are in the stage of prophecy. And we're expecting that all of this will galvanize into a solution that is way beyond even our imagination. We have also relied on the biblical injunction that says, write a plan, make it plain, so that anyone that reads it can run with it. And that we have delivered today. We expect that people will read and they will run with this plan. And just as a measure of addition to what has been done in terms of the volunteering that has been done, we have what is called the Partners for Sustainable Development that is going to be the fulcrum of the implementation of this plan. Every idea, every thought can be captured under that platform, because we want this plan a living document that can galvanize over the coming years the development efforts of the Urhobo nation. And that is a fantastic opportunity. Even those who are not here can be further recruited to join. Like minds, if you know them anywhere they are, they should all be recruited to be in this vanguard, because we really want to take full advantage of who we are. So on all of that, I want to thank every one of you. Every one of you that made our time to be here is a major contributor to the development of Urhobo just by this effort. And we want to thank you all for coming. We want to, at this point, also thank our panelists, very fantastic panelists, that the work they've done. And in fact, the Urhobo Foundation for giving the platform to be able to do this. We want to thank all of you. Every member of Urhobo Foundation, thank you. And those who are also coming on board to join, we want to thank you too for the interest. And I want to most especially thank my team. I can't have a better team than you guys. You all have been fantastic. And it's been a pleasure working with all of you. And we look forward to further making this a living document and delivering on the mandates that we have received since 2017. It's a long journey, but we are here today. And that makes for a big celebration. And I want to applaud everyone from the very bottom of my heart, all of the development agents, which you all are, and those you're going to recruit to join us, and both at the individual level and institutional level, we hope to be able to make good this. Just to remind, just for the last point, the Urhobo of yesterday did what we call Urhobo. They were thorough. They were Urhobo. So finance was never a problem. I don't think finance is a problem once we have the structure, we have this framework. The Urhobo Nation today, I've given this example before when we did the first outing in the UK, that if we're able to capture just 1 million digital members out of the 7 million population, giving 1,000 as annual dues every year, you have $1 billion naira on the desk of UPU. That is easily a low-hanging fruit for all of us. And I want this to be the way to go. All the strength of the institutions of the Urhobo Nation, we should do. So on behalf of myself, my team, the Urhobo Foundation, and all of us, I say a big thank you. And above all, I want to thank Almighty God who has made it all possible, the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of wisdom that has guided all through. And I say to you all, have a great time, have a great day.